The bus door hissed open, and Mr. Harrison did not drive away. Every other kid had already climbed on. The engine idled. 23 pairs of eyes watched through frosted windows as their driver knelt down on the wet sidewalk, right in front of a boy who hadn't moved in almost a minute. "I'm not leaving without you," Mr. Harrison said quietly. "Take your time." The boy's name was Daniel Reyes, and he was 11 years old, and he had a black eye he was trying to hide behind his hood. His backpack hung heavy on one shoulder. His sneakers were soaked through, and his hands, when Mr. Harrison finally noticed them, were shaking. Nobody at that bus stop knew what had happened inside that house the night before. Nobody knew that Daniel had already decided he wasn't going home again. Not that afternoon, not ever, if he could help it. Except somehow, this bus driver seemed to know something was wrong. He always did. For 3 years, Harrison had driven Route 14 through the same quiet neighborhood, picking up the same kids, waving at the same tired parents. Most people saw a man in a faded uniform jacket, a man who smelled like coffee and diesel, a man who mattered so little that nobody bothered to learn his first name. But Daniel knew something the others didn't. He knew that Mr. Harrison kept peanut butter crackers in the glove box for kids who didn't eat breakfast. He knew that Mr. Harrison waited an extra 30 seconds at every stop, just in case someone was running late. And he knew that 2 weeks earlier, when Daniel had shown up with a torn jacket in freezing weather, Mr. Harrison had quietly handed him his own coat and never mentioned it again. That morning, kneeling on the cold sidewalk, Mr. Harrison looked at Daniel the way no adult in his life ever had. "You don't have to tell me anything," he said, "but you're not getting on this bus looking like that without someone knowing you're safe." Daniel's chin trembled, and for the first time in longer than he could remember, he let someone see him cry. If you believe small moments like this one still happen, that kindness from a stranger can change the direction of somebody's whole life. Hit like on this video right now, and if you haven't already, subscribe because stories like this deserve to be told. What Mr. Harrison did next would stay buried for 20 years. He didn't call it in as a disciplinary issue. He didn't report Daniel as difficult or disruptive, even though the school counselor had already started building that file. Instead, he drove straight to the school, walked Daniel in himself, and sat with the principal until someone finally called child services. Not to punish Daniel, but to protect him. Nobody thanked Mr. Harrison for that. Nobody even noticed. Bus drivers weren't supposed to get involved. It wasn't his job. He did it anyway. 3 months later, Daniel was placed with a foster family 2 towns over. Route 14 lost a rider. Mr. Harrison never saw him again. Years passed the way they always do, quietly, then all at once. Mr. Harrison kept driving. He got older. His hair turned gray at the temples, then fully silver. He developed a limp in his left knee from 31 winters of ice and stairs. He never married. He never had kids of his own. His whole life, in a strange and simple way, had been other people's children. He never once wondered if any of it had mattered. 20 years later, on a gray Tuesday afternoon, Mr. Harrison sat in the small break room of the bus depot, eating a sandwich alone, when a man in an expensive navy suit walked through the door and asked for him by name. The man was maybe 31 years old. Sharp jaw, kind eyes, a trace of nervousness under all that polish. "Are you E. Harrison?" the man asked. "You used to drive Route 14? Mr. Harrison nodded slowly, unsure whether he was in trouble or being sued. The man's voice cracked. "You probably don't remember me." But something in his face, something in the way he stood, shoulders slightly hunched, like he was bracing for an impact that never came, pulled a memory loose from 20 years back. "Daniel," Mr. Harrison whispered. Here's the moment worth staying for, because what Daniel came to say wasn't just gratitude. It was something Mr. Harrison never expected to hear. Something that had been sitting in Daniel's chest for 2 decades, waiting for the right day to come out. Daniel reached into his jacket and pulled out an old, creased photograph. One Mr. Harrison didn't even remember being taken. It showed the 2 of them at that same bus stop. Mr. Harrison kneeling, Daniel standing with his backpack. Both of them caught in a moment neither had known was being witnessed. "My foster mom took this," Daniel said. "She was walking her dog that morning. She kept it all these years. Said it was proof that somebody chose to see me." His voice broke completely now. You didn't just get me help that day. You got me out before it got worse. The report you pushed through. I found out later I wasn't the only kid in that house. I was the last one. Because of you, there wasn't another kid after me. Mr. Harrison's hands trembled around his coffee cup. I became a family law attorney, Daniel continued. I represent kids now, the ones nobody's fighting for. I've helped place 42 children in safe homes. And every single time, I think about a bus driver who refused to pull away. He placed a small framed commendation on the table, an award from the county recognizing extraordinary civilian intervention in a child welfare case. Dated 20 years earlier, one Mr. Harrison never even knew existed because nobody had ever told him. They tried to give this to you back then, Daniel said. You'd already retired the route by the time the paperwork cleared. I've been holding on to it, waiting for the right moment. Mr. Harrison stared at the boy who was now a man, at the photograph, at the framed certificate, and felt something inside his chest finally loosen after 20 years of quietly wondering if any of it had counted for anything. You were just a kid, Mr. Harrison finally said. I just didn't want you to feel alone. You have no idea, Daniel whispered, how far that goes. Outside the depot window, a new bus pulled in, engine rumbling, doors hissing open, carrying a whole new set of kids who had no idea yet that the world could contain people like this. If the story moved you, if you believe one small act of kindness can echo for 20 years and change lives you'll never even witness, subscribe for more stories like this one. Because somewhere out there, someone is waiting for their own Mr. Harrison.